Hi everybody, welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Lene Gehrig, and today from our friends at Studio Light, I have two paper pads that are just fabulous. They're both Country Roads, but this one is a card making paper pad. It's a little bit more of a kit where everything is die cut and there's card ideas in it. And then we have the Country Roads die cut designer paper pad, which is a little bit more freeform with paper backgrounds and die cut images. You guys, together they make cards like this one, this little cutaway. So fun, so cheerful, really the country life for sure. This is our giveaway card for this episode, so if you stick around, you'll learn how one lucky viewer can win this card to keep or share with a friend. So come play with us. So let's take a look at this one. This is the designer, die cut designer. So for this one, let me see, you have got die cut and sheet embellishments as well as background papers in here. All right, so here's beautiful like barn wood. You're getting two sheets of this, and then it's not double-sided rather. And then look at that meadow with the horse and the fence and the farmhouse, beautiful. And then up here it's got this lovely sort of sagey green color, which would be great for just matting on cards, and then using this one below. Love that. You're getting two of that. Okay, love the red gingham. It's like an old tablecloth. It's like worn along the bottom and the edges. Two of those. White painted brick with some distressing on the edges. Look at the beautiful windmill with the peaches, browns, greens. That is just gorgeous. And then this one, distress painted wood. Look at the beautiful meadow flowers. This is a theme throughout with the beautiful flowers. Look at the painted green. So it's just like strips of paint. And then we're getting right into what we're kind of calling card toppers. So there's 4 on each, rectangles. You would just cut these out and they make beautiful card toppers. I'm going to show you examples of that. And you're getting 2 of each of these. Look at that, gorgeous, the porch with the rose border down here. Love it. And then from now on, we're going to be dealing with die cuts. So you're getting 2 sheets of these. They have words along the bottom edge. They have all of the little farm creatures. We have bouquets. We have these really cool oval and circle shapes where elements are bumped out of the animals. It's so cool. And look, the die cutting on these, or the laser cutting, is really very, very good. Let's zoom in on this. A little bit more. There we go. It's just right on the money. You know, they're syncing that right with that edge. The register on these is really, really nice. All right, and then more wildflowers, iced tea, or this is peach tea, and then we've got iced tea, lots of little country words, country greetings and things like that. 2 of those. All right, now we're getting into the baking. We've got the garden, we've got a picnic, we've got the kitchen scene, the homemade bread, all of these wonderful little country kitchen scenes. 2 of these. And then here we've got different sort of cottages and more wildflowers, more little circular scenes here, more words. And that's the last one on this one. All right, so let's go back and take a look at the first card I showed you. So this is a 6.5 by 5 inch card. And as you can see here, I did cut away on the card front. So I cut away 2 and, well, almost 2.5. It's 2 3/8 of an inch on this side of the card, okay? And then I used, let me see if I can remember what I used. I think I used one of the little scenes. Here we go. Ooh, fub. So I used this part of the card right here. Okay, just covering the card, inking the edge after it's covered with some cocoa bean and my favorite little blending tool. Inked all around that. And then the inside here, I took some of the painted wood paper, if I can find it, because I wanted something you could easily write on. Okay, so whatever was under this, I used for the painted wood. And then this one had to use some of that gingham, absolutely, right there on the right-hand side. Then to cover that seam between the two, I used, I think, one of my favorite sheets of Dazzle stickers. These are Fancy Border Dazzles in white. Absolutely beautiful. I used this one right here. It's a little scallop border with all of these little dots on it. And I just put it right down the center. And then right over here, I used one of our little 4-inch wide lace doilies, and I glued it to extend off the edge. A little fine tip bottle filled with Cosmic Shimmer glue is really a nice way to use these doilies, because I just went around the edge here and then just a little bit in the center, and then of course around the edge here, and then glued that down, cut out one of those little circular cutouts, inked the edge of it, and glued that to the center of the doily. After I did it, I thought, oh, you could have made that into a pocket. So if I had not glued the doily all the way down, you could slip something under that. So keep that in mind, because I let that one get away from me. Then used Miss You. These are our red script greeting Dazzle stickers. They come 3 in the pack. They're all different sentiments. It's not repeated. And just added Missed You right there. And then on this side, you guys, I took the little greetings like Country Life, Farm Sweet Farm, inked the edges of those with the cocoa bean as well, and then just glued those so that they were flush with the right-hand side. And then we just got these in. They are these adorable little red flowers, paper flowers with a little wood bead in the center of them, so cute. And I just glued a little cluster right here, another one right here. These are a little collection of one of the punch outs, and I just went ahead and I glued that to the bottom here. And then this little jar, I foam taped that. So you can see there's a little bit of dimension there. And then over here, okay, I added to the scene the chicken on the railing. You got to have a goat on the porch. And then a basket of apples right next to this plant, one of the paper flowers, and then I had to add a little chick there. And then I wanted to bring the gingham in from over here. So we have our little gingham ribbon collection, tied a little red bow, and then glued that down. Now you'll notice the position of this one right here is when you close it, you're getting this little scalloped edge. So that's why I chose that one, so that you would just have a little bit of a lacy edge right there. All right, so this is our giveaway card. And what do I mean by that? So if you're new to our channel, 3 times a week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday videos, we promote our Paper Wishes YouTube channel. So if you're watching us on our Paper Wishes webisode page, then hop on over to YouTube, and we ask that you subscribe, like, and comment on this video. And then about a week later, we will pick one person's comment and say, congratulations, YouTube username blank. So you got to know your YouTube username. And then we will give you instructions on how to claim your card. And it's also a good idea to hit the notification bell so you know when we are contacting you. So if you participate on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday videos, that's 3 chances that you could win one of our cards, and we love giving those away. So yeah, definitely check that out. I'm just gonna set this right over here so I don't lose it for the winner. All right, so my next card, you guys, I'm gonna shut this for a moment, is a Gatefold card with one of the toppers on it, okay? So before I start to show you, so I started with a 5 by 6.5 inch card. I opened it up, I scored it at 2.5 inches and 2.5 inches, which means I fold it like this, and that's making the Gatefold card. Don't worry about this part, we're gonna cover that up. So on the top of those flaps, I then used one of their toppers, which I thought was so fun with this beautiful windmill and the woman standing there just looking at the birds. And then remember how we talked about this paper right here with that beautiful peach color? Well, this one you could use on a card, but then you'll have this left over. So after cutting out this card topper and inking the edges with the cocoa bean in the blender, I matted it with that peach color and then inked that as well, right? And then added some cutouts, thinking of you, this little tiny flowers right here. And then this is one of the die cut images that has the beautiful bouquet, and I inked that as well. I think it softens the edges of a die cut if they kind of aren't stark white, so I went ahead and inked that. and then glued that there, and then just tied a little orange bow to kind of pick up with the peaches and glued that right there. And then when you open this up, this is foam taped to this flap right here only. And then when you open it up on the inside, I just took a scrap of this paper, okay, inked the edges and glued it there. This is another one of the toppers, and I cut it way down, okay, inked the edges and backed it with the same green paint paper that I covered the front flaps with. So this flap and this flap is covered with this, inked the edges, open it up, and then you've got this panel here, and I just glued it right over there. So there's a little bit of a difference in height because this is foam taped, but I think it doesn't show. And then this piece right here, oh, gotta go back to my windmill. Here we go. This is from this piece right there. And then I took some from over here, inked the edges, glued that down as well. This is one of the die cuts. So you can see here, I inked the edges of that and then just tucked her so that, because she doesn't have any legs, I tucked her right there and just put a greeting over her. And I just don't think it's really noticeable that it doesn't go all the way down. And then glued these boots, foam taped the little hat, glued this one here. Just a really fun and easy card to make, just using all of this scene and then just dividing it up a little bit in my panels. All right, so now we've gone through this paper pad. Let's take a look at this one. All right, so this one's different. I think they're wonderful companions to use together, but this one is made more like a card kit. So we've had this before in another design by the same company, and they sold beautifully. So I think you guys are gonna really like this one. It has a card idea here. So like for a 5x5 or even a 6x6, there's a layout idea at the top corner of all these pages. So how you can use all of these die cuts. So this is a piece you would just cut out and glue to the card front. And then you would just follow, you know, gluing and foam taping all of these images. Makes it so quick and easy. The other one also quick and easy, the other paper pad, but a little bit more freeform with all of the paper, sheets of paper in it. Same on this one, okay? Card topper on your card. And they're kind of smaller on the small size of cards. And I'm gonna show you how to accommodate that if you wanna use larger cards in a moment. So that's like 5 3/4 by 4 1/4. And yeah, just adding these little things like this. These are all punch outs, adorable. Just doing some layering. I think it's important when doing layering like this, you're gluing some pieces and then you're foam taping some pieces. It can really make a difference with how your cards are gonna look. All right, this one we're gonna come back to because I'm gonna build this card with you guys and it's gonna look different than this picture. So I wanna show you that you can kind of break out of that box and do your own thing. All right, and then we've got this one right here where the paper, everything's already angled, everything's already layered on it. It's fantastic. Same with this one. Here's your card idea. Another card idea. Okay, really, really cute. Okay, love these. This one's kind of with kitchen elements to it. I love this one with the windmill. Beautiful. Little card idea here where you're overlapping things. This one. All right, this one, I want you to pay attention to this background and this background because this is the card idea that you can make with this. And it's just a little accordion fold like that. You could fold it lots of different ways. But this peach edge right here, this is the background piece, okay? And then you can glue these pieces, which I inked. You glue that to the center. There's actually 3 layers. There's this peach layer, there's this white brick layer, and then there's this layer, okay? So we're gonna move to the next page. Here we go. This is what the card looks like. And then you're just taking these pieces and you're gluing them to the card center. And then I just made a few changes. So like maybe we can zoom in on this right here. All right, this is what the original card looked like. And then I just made a couple of little changes. So I took this little piece, instead of having it down here, I moved it up here. I added some little dazzle stickers to the edge using our little fancy border dazzles. Just a little lacy edge right here. I added some more of these little red flowers there. On the next one, just tilted this picture a little bit. The dog I moved over from here to here. The little happy birthday, added a flower. And then over here, kept this pretty much the same, except I added a little sticker here, a little flower right here. So yeah, you can absolutely sort of customize these, and they come with different greetings, you know, so there's home sweet home, happy birthday, and hugs and kisses. So personalize those. And then as I said, you could fold it, you know, like this, like this, like this. So when they open it up, it's just this cute little accordion card. All right, so let's go on to this one. Same kind of idea with the backgrounds kind of that you're building, and then you're moving on to this one where you're gluing these on top of that. And that's the end. So let's go back to that one card I was telling you we're gonna work on. Oh, don't tell me I lost it. Talk amongst yourselves, you know the routine, till I find what I'm looking for. Return an email. I've really lost it. There it is. Okay. So I have all of my pieces here ready to go. All right. So I'm taking this card and I'm changing it quite a bit, actually. All right, so this original card, let's zoom in and look at this one. And so you've got your background right here, and then you've got this border, and you're layering that on the background, and then this piece goes on next, and then you've got this woman standing here, and she goes there. So I'm just gonna really change this up. First of all, I'm using a larger card, okay? So I'm covering it. You could do this with solid paper, you could do this with patterned paper. This is tan suede. Okay, if you're familiar with our suede papers, they're like a fabricy suede on one side and paper on the other. So they cut, they die cut, they emboss beautifully. So I wanted to use something that was sort of really touchable, okay? It occurred to me when I was using, after I was using the tan, that this would look fantastic with the tomato red version as well. So, I mean, I'll include both of these, and, you know, this is fantastic as well. So if you're looking for those, look for them down below the video on Paper Wishes. And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, just look below the video and you'll see a link in the description box. I'm just gonna, you know, ink this edge a little bit with that cocoa bean. And then I'm taking these fancy border dazzle stickers again, and I put one along the bottom edge here, and then one right along this gingham, which is already printed on here. Okay, it looks just like this. I'm altering it a little bit. I'm using Cosmic Shimmer glue. It's in my little bottle here. And that's gonna go right there in the center. So that's straight. All right, and then we've got this little piece right here, and we've got this little piece right here. So we could just go ahead and add this here, and we could add this here. We could use some of these on the inside of our card as well. We've got this little piece right here. We've got some greetings. We've got some little hearts. We've got some little red flowers. All right, so let's take one of these greetings. This one says, wishing you a birthday that's as joyful as you. And then this one is wishing you a life full of love and happiness. So let's start with the birthday one. You can just put that right up here. We could add a little flower to that right on the edge. We've got this little piece, these little, almost like little flags, which I love. So let's maybe put these under here. Sort of winging this, you guys. And then like that. Okay, I know where I'm going now. So let's go ahead and we're going to put this one here. I'll layer that there. And then this piece, as I was saying before, it's just nice to kind of put a little ink on this to soften those edges. I've already got some foam tape on here. We're going to just foam tape her even with this edge right here. And then could take, we're going to use that on the inside. And then we've got these little pieces up here. I get those even with that edge. That. I love how it's bringing in the ginghams. All right, we're just going to overlap that right about there. And then I like to just glue these flowers on with a little Cosmic Shimmer glue. And when I glue them, I kind of take my fingers around the bead and I just push that down just like that. Okay, and then we've got these little hearts, which are adorable. We're going to take these hearts and they have foam tape on them. I'm going to put those right there. And then I've got this little button. Come on, button. Stuck to the table. Little button that we will glue right there. All right, so that's the outside of my card. Looks pretty different than this one, right? And now we're going to take this and open it up. And then I've got this little suede piece left over. I could put that right there. Oh, I'm going to put it right here. Let's change directions. Because this piece, I'm going to ink the edges a little bit on that. I'm going to put that one right there. So I think you can see you can really extend these pieces to the inside of your card very easily. I'm going to put that foam taped right there. And then this one just like says lucky you, kind of random. Okay, could definitely overlap that right there. And we've got our little greeting here. And I think the biggest thing for me is just overlapping, just having things touch so that they're not just floating. And then we've got our little flower right here. So that kind of makes this a little collage-y area right here. We've got a little cluster. And then let's put this one right there. Okay. So we took all of these pieces, or the majority of these main pieces, and we switched it up for their layout, which is just an idea, and created something very different with that, with an inside, okay? So you guys, I think you can see that even with the kits, you can have a lot of freedom to do what you like on your cards. And the kit one, where everything is die cut and layering, saves so much time. The card toppers on these are fantastic. The art is beautiful. And I think it's just the perfect summer cards that can take you right into fall. Tell us what you think about those. Definitely take a look at the Money Saver. All the items are listed down below the video, paperwishes.com on our webisode page. And if you're watching us on YouTube, just check that link below the video in the description box and it'll take you to this Paper Wishes webisode page. Don't forget to participate in our card giveaway. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.